In the gilded halls of Windsor Castle, an 11-year-old boy is about to make a decision that will shatter centuries of royal tradition. A choice so unprecedented, so shocking, that it threatens to redefine what it means to be born into the House of Windsor. This isn't just another royal story. This is about Prince George of Wales, second in line to the British throne, and the path he's choosing that no future king has ever dared to take before. What could possibly make a child prince break away from protocols that have governed his family for generations? And what does this mean for the future of the monarchy itself? Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind Prince George's groundbreaking decision. To understand the magnitude of what's happening, we need to step back and see the world through George's eyes. Born on July 22, 2013, Prince George Alexander Louis entered the world not just as a baby, but as a symbol. Outside St. Mary's Hospital in London, thousands gathered. Camera flashes erupted like lightning as his parents, Prince William and Catherine, presented him to the world. Even at 1 day old, George's life was already mapped out for him. Unlike other children, George doesn't get to dream about what he'll be when he grows up. His future was decided the moment he took his first breath. He will be king. It's not a choice, it's his destiny. But here's what most people don't realize about that destiny. It comes with rules. So many rules. For over a century, royal children have followed the same rigid educational path. It's a system designed to create leaders, diplomats, and figureheads. First, prep school. Then, the prestigious Eton College, where princes are molded into gentlemen. Where William walked, George must follow. Where Harry walked, George must follow. It's not tradition. It's law, unwritten but absolute. The curriculum, the sports, the friends, even the clothes, all carefully curated to maintain the image of royal perfection. George's childhood has already been different from other kids his age. While his classmates worry about homework and birthday parties, George receives briefings about his future role. He's learning to wave just right, to stand with perfect posture, to never show too much emotion in public. Imagine being 11 years old and knowing that every mistake you make might end up on the front page of a newspaper. Every tantrum, every bad grade, every awkward moment, all scrutinized by millions. But something is shifting in the House of Windsor. William and Catherine aren't like the royals who came before them. They've watched the institution struggle, seen how rigid adherence to tradition nearly destroyed it. Remember Princess Diana? She didn't just die in that Paris tunnel in 1997. She died trying to give her sons a different life, a more normal life. "I want my boys to have experiences I never had," she once said. Those words haunt William to this day. When William and Catherine became parents, they made a quiet vow. Their children would be different. Not completely normal. That's impossible when you're royalty, but different enough to have a fighting chance at happiness. They've already broken protocols that made palace officials gasp. George attends school with regular children, not isolated in some aristocratic bubble. The family lives in relatively modest quarters at Adelaide Cottage in Windsor, not in massive palaces. Catherine does the school run herself, sometimes alone, like any other mother. These might seem like small rebellions, but in the royal world, they're earthquakes. And now comes the biggest earthquake of all. Reports have emerged, carefully leaked to trusted royal correspondents, that Prince George will not be attending Eton College, the school that educated 20 British prime ministers, the school where his father, uncle, and generations of royals learned to become the men they are today. George is choosing a different path. When the news first broke, royal watchers couldn't believe it. Social media exploded. Hashtags trended worldwide. Royal commentators were brought onto news programs, stammering through their disbelief. "This has never happened before," said one historian, visibly shaken. "Not in modern times. Not ever." According to sources close to the family, George has expressed interest in attending a coeducational school, a school where he can learn alongside girls, where the focus isn't just on producing future leaders of Britain, but on developing well-rounded human beings. The frontrunner? Marlborough College, the same school Catherine attended. A prestigious institution, yes, but radically different from Eton's all-male, ultra-traditional environment. But here's what makes this so revolutionary. George isn't just choosing a different school. He's choosing a different kind of future. Eton represents the old way, the stiff upper lip, the boys don't cry mentality, the preparation for a life of duty above all else. It's where emotions are locked away and vulnerability is weakness. Catherine's choice represents something else entirely: balance, emotional intelligence, the belief that even a future king needs to understand all of humanity, not just half of it. She wants her son to have what she had, reveals a former classmate of Catherine, a place where she could be herself, where being kind mattered as much as being accomplished. This decision didn't come lightly. Imagine the conversations behind closed doors, the debates between William and Catherine, the pressure from palace advisors who believe tradition exists for a reason. Your Majesty, they might have said, we understand your concerns, but Eton has produced kings. It produces leaders. Deviating from this path is unprecedented. But William, having mental health advocates have particularly praised the decision. In an era where we're finally talking about the importance of emotional well-being, the symbolism of a future king choosing an environment that values personal development alongside academic achievement is powerful. William and Catherine are showing that duty doesn't have to mean suffering, explained a child psychologist specializing in high-pressure families. George can be a great king and a healthy, just person. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Even some palace insiders have privately expressed relief. The institution needs to evolve, confided one long-serving staff member. We've seen what happens when we don't change. We nearly lost everything. They're referring, of course, to the exodus of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a wound still raw in the royal family. Harry's accusations of institutional rigidity and emotional coldness in his memoir Spare painted a devastating picture of royal life. Could George's different upbringing prevent another Harry? Another escape? Another public fracturing of the family? But here's where this story gets even more complex, even more uncertain. George is still just 11 years old. The final decision won't be made for another year or two. And the pressure on this child, this little boy who loves soccer and video games and making his siblings laugh, is immense. Every time he appears in public now, people scrutinize him differently. Is he confident enough to break tradition? Does he seem happy with this path? Is he being pushed by his parents? Or is this truly his choice? The weight of being a symbol, of being a battleground for competing visions of what the monarchy should be, now rests on shoulders that should only be carrying a school backpack. And there's another question nobody wants to ask, but everyone is thinking. What if this fails? What if George goes to Marlborough College and struggles? What if the experiment in normal royal education backfires? The critics will pounce. They'll say, see, we told you tradition exists for a reason. But what if it succeeds? What if George becomes a king unlike any we've seen before, emotionally intelligent, grounded, capable of genuine connection with his people, because he was educated to see them as equals, not subjects? That's the dream. That's what William and Catherine are betting their son's future on. Here's what this story is really about, beneath the headlines and the controversy. It's about a family trying to break a cycle. William grew up in an institution that, by his own admission, struggled with affection and emotional expression. He's spoken publicly about the therapy he's needed to process his mother's death and his royal upbringing. He doesn't want that for George. Catherine grew up outside the royal bubble, and she knows what George is losing by being born into it. But she also knows he can't escape who he is. So instead, she's trying to give him tools, emotional tools, social tools, to survive what's coming. Because something is coming. George will be king one day. That's unavoidable. The question is, what kind of king will he be? Will he be another rigid figurehead, beautiful and ceremonial, but ultimately disconnected from the people he serves? Or will he be something new? A monarch who combines duty with humanity, tradition with innovation, service with self-awareness? The school he attends might seem like a small thing. It's not. It's a declaration of intent. It's William and Catherine saying, we believe there's a different way. We believe our son can honor the past while creating a better future. We believe the monarchy can evolve and survive. But it's also terrifying because they're experimenting with their own child's life, in full view of the world, knowing that if they get it wrong, the consequences will be catastrophic. Right now, as you watch this, Prince George is likely at home in Windsor, maybe doing homework, maybe playing with his siblings Charlotte and Louis, maybe just being a kid. He probably doesn't fully grasp how significant his future decision will be, how historians will write about this moment, how it might change the trajectory of the British monarchy forever. All he knows is that his parents are trying to give him something precious, a choice. Not about whether to be king, that's set in stone, but about who he'll be when he gets there. In the coming months, as George approaches the age when school decisions must be finalized, the world will be watching. Palace insiders will leak more information. Commentators will debate endlessly. Public opinion will swing back and forth. But ultimately, this decision will be made by a small family in a quiet moment, weighing impossible choices, trying to do right by their son while serving their country. The British monarchy has survived for over 1,000 years by adapting, by knowing when to hold firm and when to bend. This might be one of those pivotal bending moments. Or it might be the beginning of something none of us can yet imagine. What we do know is this: Prince George, the boy who will be king, is already changing the rules. And he hasn't even finished primary school yet. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here. And it's being led by an 11-year-old in a school uniform. But there's one more twist to this story that we haven't told you yet. Sources close to the palace suggest that George's school decision might be just the first of many unprecedented choices planned by William and Catherine for their children. Choices about titles, about duties, about how young royals will serve in the modern age. The question isn't just where George will go to school. It's what kind of monarchy will exist when he finally wears the crown. And based on what we're seeing now, that monarchy might look very different from anything we've known before.